This is Drew with thepodcastingstore.com, your one-stop shop for all things podcasting and remote learning.
All right, so we're here at the Midwest Clinic, and we've got some special guests here. Eric Murine from Pickett, and Domingo, I'm sorry, I don't know your last name.
Pagliuca.
Pagliuca.
Uh-huh.
I tried. I grew up outside of Boston. I'm lucky I can speak English. And he's from the Boston Brass and is a Pickett artist.
Yes, I am.
And so thank you so much for stopping by here. We're testing out our podcasting rig and vlogging and recording video on that. So Domingo, let's talk about Pickett. I love Pickett mouthpieces. And
I do too.
Yes, we know Eric does as well. But yeah, tell us about Pickett and what you like about them and how they help you to do what you do.
Right. Well, you know that for us, for brass players, it's always a struggle to try to find the right mouthpiece.
Sure.
It's always a missing link. You're always looking for the treasure. So for me, in that case, it's very important to actually get someone that actually, when you communicate, really understands what the message is.
Yeah.
Us as brass players, we always make comments like, "Oh, it's the gap is too big," or "I feel that I'm like swimming in a deep pool." So those kind of comments are really abstract. So how can you write that down? How can you measure?
It's like tasting wine.
Exactly.
When people start, it's naughty. It's like, what does that mean?
Exactly. So finding the right, not even person, the right artist.
Yeah.
That makes this little piece of metal that actually works between you and the trombone exactly the way you want it. I think it's actually found in the missing link.
Yeah.
So what we feel that working with Pickett, it's actually a privilege and it's an honor because, as I said, having found a person that actually understands the language of a brass player and then puts it on in a piece of metal, and then when you ask for any changes, the comes and goes are so small, and the product that you get back with the changes are simply amazing. So it's like, okay, that's it. So this guy really understands what this means. So that's what we say. He's not just a mouthpiece maker, he's an artist. He really knows what he does.
And that's one of the things that I've liked about Pickett is, essentially, if you can imagine it, they can make it. And so, Eric can speak to that. If I came to you and said, make me X, what's that process look like?
Yeah, exactly right. So the first thing is, we're always honored and privileged to work with artists such as Domingo, the entire Boston Brass. And it's nice to work with players who can articulate exactly what they're looking for, rather than just saying, I want something bigger. They can say, my airflow feels like this, or when I play it like this, my articulation changes this way. It's really helpful for us. Then we can go, oh, okay, now we can go into the design board and actually make what they're looking for. And if someone was coming to us and we were going to make a mouthpiece for them, the first thing we would look at is create something of ours that is very similar to what they're used to.
Yeah.
Kind of level the playing field. And then we'd go from there and what would you like changed? What do you love about your existing mouthpiece? What would you like changed? And then that way we can manipulate the internal cup volume, the articulation, and many things to get the desired outcome the artist is looking for.
Yeah, and it's a convergence of art and science. You need to understand the science behind what you're doing in order to create the art for the artist.
Yes.
And, not to overstate it, but we talked about this, when you were out in Colorado, is the mouthpiece is where the sound is generated. The instrument just modifies and amplifies it. So if the sound coming out of the mouthpiece isn't right, nothing else can be. It's impossible because the source isn't correct. So yeah, it's I don't want to say often overlooked, but I don't know that the importance of it is stressed enough for beginners that you need to have the right mouthpiece for the kind of playing that you're doing and the kind of player that you are.
Correct. So, it truly comes down to the balance between the player, the mouthpiece, and the horn. It has to be a complete set, because if one part of the equation has an inefficient balance of resistance or anything, it'll impact negatively the other parts.
Exactly. And many people underlook that aspect of what Eric is saying. You just pick a mouthpiece that just fits the trombone, in my case.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. No, yeah, but that guy plays, I don't know, whatever, 6. Yeah, but it's much more than that. It's how it feels, how it feels in your lips. and how it behaves within your air. So not everybody needs to play the same mouthpiece.
Right, and yeah, I think we get caught up in that every trumpet player needs to play on a 7C to start, and then you move from there to a 5 and a 3. It's not as simple as that. And the style you're playing and what you're trying to accomplish as a player, to me, dictates it from there. I mean, because for example, I'm not playing much now. I play trumpet. When I play in an orchestra, I'm playing a bigger mouthpiece than when I'm playing in a big band, because frankly, I don't want to work that hard. I mean, I'm lazy. That's just the way it goes.
But besides that, you have to match the style that you're playing.
Yes. Oh, very much.
So it's very important that from the beginning, you kind of start with the right equipment.
Yeah.
So you don't start developing bad habits. Because once you start developing bad habits, it's very hard to clean them up and go back to where you need to be in order for you to become a good player. So it is very important to actually pay attention to the mouthpiece that you start with. It's not just the one that comes, because nowadays we have these artists that make mouthpieces that you can actually get something that actually fits you instead of just getting a regular mouthpiece that you don't know what's going to happen with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super rewarding as someone. We make mouthpieces when we hear Domingo or anyone else, that because he has such a demanding job, with the Boston Brass and everything he does, it is physically demanding. And if we can supply a tool and an item that makes his job more enjoyable and easier, that is the goal.
Well, it's minimizing variables. I'm a big baseball fan, Red Sox specifically, and Nomar Garciaparra, when he used to play, every at-bat, he's pulling down the batting gloves and tapping his toes and adjusting his helmet. Well, it looks horrible from the outside, but every time his gloves are the same tightness, his toes are in the same spot, his helmet is in the same position. That's all less things to worry about. So once you get those things dialed in, let's worry about the variables, which should be the artistry.
If you have the tools, then you can develop.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the tools, then you're going to be struggling. And that's when you don't have control of.
Exactly.
So everything goes down so quickly.
Well, Eric, Domingo, thank you so much for stopping by and having a conversation with us. And like I said, we're doing podcasting gear and whatnot to show people how this all works. But I think it's really valuable information for brass players specifically, but any wind player, that tone generation is the most important thing. And once you get that down, then everything else can fall into place.
Exactly. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, we appreciate it.
If you're facing a unique problem with podcasting or remote learning, we can help. Reach out to us at thepodcastingstore.com and we'll see what solutions we can find for you. And if you like what you hear, do me a favor and tell a friend. Follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and sign up for our e-newsletter, and you'll never miss another podcast or video again. This is Drew with thepodcastingstore.com. Thank you for listening.